Yo, what's up gamers? Welcome back to the channel, and today, let me tell you a story. It was a cool Tuesday night when I was busy doing dear God anything but prayer, when I found a strange man. Suddenly, I remembered. Yo, what's up gamers? It's June 30th, and it's time for my daily viewing of EA's Twitter account. Damn it. Well, the versions of Reddit are already posting this to farm karma, so time to join the bandwagon for some fake internet points. Personally, I don't really see why people are angry. I mean, what's the point of a gamer girl girlfriend if she doesn't play with you? But don't worry, because YongYea, the virgin god himself, is gonna make a video on this in about a month.
Over 1 month later.
Guess what just dropped?
EA and single-player games, a tale as old as time. If EA had their way, straight-up, traditional, non-live service, single-player games would cease to exist. In the past, EA executives have straight-up said, single-player games are finished. This was Frank Jabot back in 2010, and then in 2012, that same executive insisted that games are to be thought as services from here on out.
Of course, 10-year-old quotes, the perfect indication of where a company's headed. Also, the majority of AAA games are in fact live services. Now, why is that? Well, for one, because people keep playing them, and two, because it prints money. You know, the only reason why video games are made.
Which is why this tweet right here was in very poor taste coming from Electronic Arts when they said back in June 30th, 2022, they're a 10, but they only like playing single-player games.
Oh my god, this is so sad. Can somebody please wake me up from this nightmare?
Where, following the tweet, EA is hosting roundtable discussions and meetings with executives, among them likely being Vince and Pella, who are angry since some studios saw the tweet as an insult to them.
So let me get this straight. A bunch of studios are mad about a tweet about a fictional woman who doesn't play any multiplayer games. And also, how's this insulting? Wouldn't you want your friends to play games that you can play together? Oh wait, Redditors don't have friends. I forgot.
It was pointed out that the person managing EA social media isn't even somebody from EA. The social media manager was apparently outsourced, so they had no context for EA's history and why that tweet was in such bad taste.
So EA themselves did not even make the tweet, and yet you're still gonna use this as some kind of proof that EA doesn't want to make single-player games anymore, despite the fact that EA is working on multiple single-player games, and the fact this tweet is about someone who doesn't even play multiplayer games.
EA instead came out with this tweet, "Roast well deserved. We'll take this L because playing single-player games actually makes them an 11.
Huh, I guess that must make me an 11 then.
Not only does EA have a history of insisting that single-player games are done, but their multiplayer live service games have a history of, well, being crap. For example, here is Battlefield 2042. Look at the Metascore and the user score. Look at Anthem's Metascore and user score. Same thing for Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Just wait until he finds out Metacritic isn't the only site you can review video games on.
Here's what kills me about all this. When EA allows developers to really stretch their wings and do whatever they want and make a proper linear experience or single-player experience, or in the case of It Takes Two, a co-op experience that's still overall linear and not a live service, you get scores like this. And beyond that, suddenly EA finds itself in a situation where one of their games actually won Game of the Year. Recall that It Takes Two won the award over plenty of prominent games.
A co-op experience. Sounds like the perfect thing to play with that 10 out of 10 girl. Or you could always try that free CBD and THC products, just pay shipping. Yong, you're a genius for proving there's more to life than single-player games. But you also need to learn how to install adblock. Or do you actually think the people at IGN deserve the money?
When EA actually sets their mind to making a fun, good video game, they tend to be able to succeed. Whereas when they focus on trying to make a monetization-driven live service, that's when game design gets corrupted by corporate intentions.
In other words, when EA puts their mind to working on a fun game, they succeed. And when they put their mind to making a profitable game, they succeed.
So here's a direct quote from EA CEO Andrew Wilson about single-player games and how they'll fit into EA's future. Our players, on balance, they have these core motivations: inspiration, escape, social connection, competition, self-improvement, creation. These things that bring us together as players of games. Well, that all sounds honky-dory until you realize that EA games aren't made to inspire, to allow people to escape, for them to have social connections and fair competition and self-improvement and creation.
So in other words, Apex Legends does not have Escape, social connection, competition, or self-improvement. Also no, their core motivation is money, same as any other company. If Nintendo knew that Mario wasn't gonna sell well, they'd stop making it. Or if people stop eating at McDonald's, do you think they'd still be making burgers?
But putting that aside, EA CEO Andrew Wilson says, and as we think about single-player games, we think it's a really important part of the overall portfolio that we deliver in the fulfillment of those core motivations. There's a more extensive version of this quote via IGN's coverage, which also features this quote: "The way we think about this is really less about which game and more about which motivations these games fulfill." And this is the same quote featured by Polygon, followed by, "And the telling of stories is really important in the fulfillment of some of those motivations."
So in other words, EA makes single-player games, and that's not likely to change anytime soon.
There is definitely a shift in tone right here. I don't think EA, as far as I can remember, has ever been this enthusiastic seeming about single-player games and their future in EA's portfolio. But Andrew Wilson straight up saying right here, we give them the utmost importance, and we're going to keep doing them. And that's likely in part because when EA got back to making single-player games like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, they did really well. And then It Takes Two also did really well, on top of the fact that it won Game of the Year.
Correct, EA wants the money. Making as many high-quality games as possible is going to create them the most revenue. They want games that appeal to every section of the market.
As low of a score as games like Madden and FIFA get, these are still incredibly popular sports brands, and that's what draws people to purchase these games every year. Sports fans' love for the sports scene and its iconic players is what draws them to modes like Ultimate Team and compels them to collect the players that they desire. And that's how EA rakes in so much money. And the end result is that even with the questionable quality of these sports games, they're still some of the most profitable ventures for Electronic Arts, and some of the most profitable and lucrative game releases in the games industry.
So in other words, EA is making games that people want to play, and providing things within those games that people want to pay money for. And this is what leads EA to be successful. But Yong is trying to say that people spending money on things they find value in is a bad thing. Now personally, I have a lot to say about that wall of condensed virginity behind him, but he can spend money the way he sees fit.
And that's what corporate executives care about. It's not about how much happiness is their product bringing to gamers, how much are their products contributing to society and having a positive impact. It's about how do we make our bank account numbers go up as much as possible to keep investors happy.
Corporations are only responsible for generating wealth for their shareholders. Corporate executives care about maximizing the profitability of the company. The actual quality of the games comes second to sales. For this reason, no matter how bad Madden or FIFA may be, they will always keep making new games. Because the actual quality of the games does not generate wealth for shareholders, it's the sales. Even Yong's precious Sony only cares about sales at the end of the day. And if it wasn't for caring about sales, there wouldn't be any more video games made. Video games are a business at the end of the day. And Yong doesn't seem to understand that simple fact.
Sentiment was swiftly undercut by a follow-up statement by CFO Chris Suh, who said this: "If we think about the model impact and the financial impact of it, I think the first thing to always keep in mind is that live services still encompass, on a trailing 12-month basis, over 70% of our business."
This is easily the most painful part of the video for me. Yong doesn't understand what the CFO's responsibility is. Here, the chief financial officer is saying that live services make up the majority of EA's business. The fact that Yong didn't even do a shred of research into looking up how businesses work is pathetic. Not to mention the fact that Yong seemingly gets pissed about the word business.
Of our business, which is the main thing they care about, not the artistry of making games or the enjoyment of gamers. It's about prioritizing the business at all costs, even if it comes at the expense of the psychological and financial health of customers.
So what he's saying is, the business cares about the business? Wow, what an insane thought. I thought businesses liked bankruptcy. And as for the psychological and financial health of the players, Yong is just assuming the average person is so irresponsible that they'd blow all their money on loot boxes. You know, opening up cases in CSGO didn't turn me into a gambling addict. And I doubt FIFA or Madden are gonna do the same.
And that has been a proven, very reliable, highly reoccurring revenue stream, and that will still be the predominant driver in our P&L profit and loss long term. Our long-term growth will continue to invest in the ongoing stable performance of our live services business, and there will be some puts and takes along the way. Following up the single-player games are really important quote with something like this that says that, but at the end of the day, 70% of our business and our revenue stream and the profits we make and all that is in live services, and they're the predominant driver in our profit and loss and yada yada yada. It just makes EA CEO's statement about single-player games being really important seem completely and utterly insincere. It's still abundantly clear that if EA had their way, if they didn't have to concern themselves with reputation and PR, they would 100% lean towards live services.
I have a question. What is the other 30% of EA's business? In that statement, the CFO is talking about how live services created a continuous flow of income for the company. It is still acknowledging that nearly a third of the business comes from non-live service games. So note, the statement by the CFO does not undermine the CEO. Non-live service games are still a big part of EA's revenue.
To me, it feels like the only reason EA is greenlighting single-player projects is out of a sense of obligation.
Of course they're doing it out of obligation. Obligation to increase shareholder wealth.
Not because they're really passionate about them. I think the EA developers are passionate about making single-player games. I don't think EA executives are all too thrilled when they greenlight a single-player game.
Developers are not passionate about the projects they work on. That'd be like saying the McDonald's employees are passionate about creating the perfect burger. It's just another 9-to-5 job. They're there to get paid and then go home.
They just kind of do it because they feel like they have to maintain optics, because the perception surrounding EA and their stance on beloved single-player games has gotten so bad that they now feel like they have to start making up for that in order to create a more positive brand image for a company that is in lists of, the most hated companies in the games industry.
The average consumer does not care about EA's reputation, as evident from this chart, showing that 3 of EA's games made the top 15 best-selling games of 2021. And none of them were any good.
Of course, the majority of your business will come from live services when the ship you're steering is mostly headed towards live services, when you're not greenlighting enough compelling single-player experiences, or when you're not trying to push the boundaries of what you can achieve with the single-player games genre.
No, live services are generally more profitable than single-player games. Let's compare Elden Ring and COD Vanguard. Both are full-price games. However, in COD you can buy COD points, which allows you to buy cosmetics as well as a battle pass. So despite Elden Ring selling more copies than COD this year, COD is more likely to have the higher profit due to the in-game monetization.
And that's the ideal outcome, more single-player success stories so that more of those can coexist alongside EA's, live service ventures and whatnot. There's a future for both. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
It's almost like that's what EA has been saying.
But anyway, that's everything you need to know about Andrew Wilson's latest statement, walking back the tweet by highlighting the importance of single-player games. But I agree with Polygon when the article says that this sentiment is swiftly undercut by this statement right here, which isn't encouraging.
So, the chief financial officer pointing out a fact somehow undermines the fact that EA still cares about making single-player games? And all of this caused by one tweet from someone who doesn't even work for EA? Yeah, I think he needs to get off Reddit.
And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on YongYea. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.
Well, gamers, today we learned that EA's social media manager is working behind the scenes to undermine the company by exposing the fact that they don't care about single-player games. The company was then nuked from orbit by the chief financial officer for pointing out the fact that the majority of EA's revenue comes from live service games, and also confirming the rumors that yes, EA is in fact a business. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Yeah, that was fun. But why did that man trigger a flashback? Wait.
I suppose it's fair to say the method is the same, broadly speaking.
Well, as it turns out, Yong is a semi-prominent anime voice actor. However, his voice acting job seems to create a conflict of interest with his channel. Games with the very mechanics he preaches against are the same games that pay him to voice act for them. Case in point, Genshin Impact. Finally, an online casino for pedophiles. You see, it has this wacky mechanic where you spend cosmic virginity to get children. Or 10 weapons. You know, Yong, I thought you hated these types of mechanics in games. But I guess even the strongest warrior of Reddit has a price. And his hypocrisy doesn't end here. He's also done work for Lost Ark, an extremely grindy and pay-to-win MMO. And do I even need to point out that cyberpunk box? All this means that Yong is either a hypocrite or a grifter. Which, if he's a grifter, I can respect the hustle. But if there's one takeaway from this, it's that you should not trust what Yong has to say. Either he's too stupid to do even the most basic research, or he's just lying to the viewer. Well gamers, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share it with your friends. That would really help out the channel. I just want to apologize for this video taking so long. I kinda got sick as I was nearing the end of production. I hope you guys have a great day, and personally, I'm gonna watch some high quality YouTube videos to help recover. Like Sniper Wolf reacting to herself.
Yong out.